Things Go Sideways podcast is out. This is episode 5. So we're moving into the second month of content being released for Things Go Sideways. And it's been kind of an interesting experience to be pulling all of this stuff together and releasing it. This episode features Phil Putnam. Phil Putnam went from over 20 years working for these large tech companies in an executive role to suddenly finding himself being laid off and figuring out a new direction. He just went in a totally different direction. Not totally. He was already doing some stuff like he was facilitating and training and teaching and speaking. But he's doing that full time for himself rather than working for this company. And this is just sort of built into the stuff that he does. He really went through this big transformation and discovered some things about himself, old issues that he wanted that sort of rose to the surface that he was able to deal with to bring him, a much better present and a much better path forward. But it took that catalyst, right? It took that sideways moment. And so I really love this episode. I know I love all of them, right? I love all of the stories that I hear from people. But this one makes me happy because I'm able to see, so much this shift in his direction and what it's meant to him and the fact that he's living his best life now. So I hope that you're able to check it out. I'm curious to hear what you think about it. So much of our lives get wrapped up in the roles that we play that it's like when that shifts, that's definitely a challenge to our identity, a challenge to what we decide to do next. So I don't know. I'm curious to hear what you think about it. Also, I'm curious to hear what you think about this Substack and where it can go. So I've been thinking I'm going to put some sort of companion piece on the Substack for each episode. So I did that last week. I'm planning to do that for this week too. And really, put out some thought-provoking questions and some resources. And we also have a really cool thing that's happening this week that will be for the first time ever. I'm going to, for the Substack, I'm going to be doing a Q&A with somebody who wrote the book of the month for the Things Go Sideways book club, and that's Matt West. So Matt West is a new friend of mine, but he's somebody who is just a phenomenal speaker. He's also a writer and author, and works in an executive coach capacity. And I think that his own story on his book's Break Not Bend, his own story on what he learned about things he had to do, things he had to change in order to be successful moving into the future, that these old ways were not helping him anymore, that he had to adapt and get curious. These are some of the things that he talks about in the book. These are some of the things I'm going to ask him about, as well as the impact of his surrounding. He mentions things like Colorado and nature and everything quite a bit in his book as you go through it. So I'm going to ask him about the impact of his environment, and he mentions things like going on hikes quite often, and so the role that played in his own story. So I hope that you can take part in that Q&A, or that if you're not involved with the book club, it's free. That you might consider getting involved with it if you're a reader or just curious about hanging out with people and want to hear their take on their takes on books that are read in the group. And with that, this is my second live ever on the Substack, and I'm just getting used to it. Also, I'm wearing a tie today, and I think it looks pretty cool. I don't know how many people actually will end up watching this, probably zero, but I'm trying to get comfortable with this new platform and seeing what I can do with it. So, if you haven't checked out the podcast, I am going to upload the recording natively here in Substack, but sometimes that can take a little bit of time, I've found. And so let me go ahead and put in the chat over here, um, you know, what the link is, and then you can connect to that. You can connect to that. I can speak. I can do it. I have the ability. All right, and I have a little question to go with it. And look at me doing stuff, multitasking even as we speak, which is not great for my cognitive load, but whatever. It's in the afternoon. We're lucky that I'm even doing this, right? Each each step, each step. All right. Step by step. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you stay safe, be well, and I'll try to do another live before the end of the week. And maybe, do something that will make these a little bit more entertaining or useful to folks. If you have ideas or feedback, let me know. All right. With that, I am going to end this.